I tried to get her on the podcast. I emailed her team. I emailed her. I sent her messages. I kept pushing and I kept pushing and I kept pushing. But I'm like, but this is my vision. When she canceled the 4th time, I sent her a message. We must be meant for something way bigger than a podcast. And at that moment, when it's not working, the transformation that you seek is in that moment where you can turn and say, wait a minute. Let's move away from this because this outcome's not happening. I'm here to be a light. And I turned really to the surrender mode of this is my why. And the feeling was the impact. And that's where I get my strength. Hold that drum, lean into this inner knowing that we're going to be okay.
When everything else falls away, expectations, fear, resistance, what does your soul whisper is next?
My soul always whispers to me.
Rona, thank you so much for saying yes to being here.
My pleasure. You made it very easy.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
We met 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not even 48 hours ago, I think. But you know when you meet someone and you just feel that heart resonance?
Absolutely.
This
It's very mutual.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. I knew I absolutely had to invite you on the show. And the show is the Kate Kenny Show, #unfiltered, as we've spoken about. So really we can go anywhere.
Anywhere.
And everywhere in this conversation. As much as you're open to it.
I am open. You've got me. You got me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you were speaking actually at the event and I just kept writing notes. There were so many things you were dropping in the conversation. So I've got a couple of those written down here and we're just going to dive straight in to a couple of them. That's okay.
Yes. Now I'm going to get in trouble for what I said.
No, you are so not going to get in trouble. It was so divinely led, I think.
Thank you for being so present to receive it.
A pleasure. A real pleasure. You could feel it in the room. It was, and yeah, hence you're here now. And it's just going to be the same here. I can feel it already. So you said, you talked about setting down the vision of how you think something is supposed to look in order to create space for something even greater. And I know there are people listening right now, and hands up, I know myself. Sometimes we are very fixed on what we want something to actually look like. Or in terms of manifestation, we think it has to look a certain way, otherwise that won't be it. But you talked about setting that specific thing down sometimes in order to create space for something greater. Can you share a bit more about that?
Yeah.
And what that's looked like for you on your own path, and especially in the work you do?
Yeah, it's everything. It's interesting. You know, when people ask me about manifestation and they're like, why am I not getting it right? I have the vision and every day I have the same vision and I do the practice and I journal it and I see it. I'm so clear exactly the husband I'm supposed to have, the home I'm supposed to have, the job I'm supposed to have, and it's not panning out. I don't see it. Right? I don't see it. And what people get wrong in manifestation is this fixation with the outcome of what it's supposed to look like. And the shift really happens is not what does it look like, it's what does it feel like. And when we can really bring the focus to what is the feeling that I'm trying to get to at the end of the day. It's not about the house, it's not about the husband, it's not about the car. You're desiring to feel in a certain way. And when that can be your focus on your manifestation and get yourself excited by that feeling, the liberation, the peace, the wealth, the love, and step away from the visual of what you perceive that to look like, then you make the space for something beyond your ability to even visualize it.
That's so powerful.
That's where the magic is. Yeah.
That's where the magic is. Let's speak more about that. And I know listeners of this show love things to be practical as well. So let's really look at that and make that practical. Yep. You've probably done this in the past. I've done this in the past. Write your wish list. Right. Maybe you're moving house, right? How many bathrooms do you want? All of that stuff. Maybe the husband or the partner or significant other. So in terms of feeling, can you share, what would you share with people in terms of a really practical step?
Sure. So I'll give you from my personal experience. This is what I was sharing at the retreat. I started a podcast 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, actually, I should clarify. And one of the first people I wanted on the podcast was Kathy Heller.
Mm-hmm.
I had done her podcast course, right? I put together my chart of my vision and what it's going to look like. All the things we do, like you mentioned, you make your list. These are my goals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
My 2022 goals at that point. And Kathy was the first goal. And I tried to get her on the podcast. I emailed her team. I emailed her. I sent her messages on Instagram. Who do we know in common? Finally, I got my break, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kathy said, I will be on your show. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
This is I made it. That
Right.
was the outcome that I was searching for, that I was seeking, is going to manifest.
Amazing.
3 or 4 times they had to cancel the podcast.
No way.
Perhaps 4. And I kept pushing and I kept pushing and I kept pushing. But I'm like, but this is my vision. Right? This is on my list.
It's got to be Kathy. Come on.
Santa list that I sent to the North Pole. Like, this is supposed to happen.
Right.
And when she canceled the 4th time, I sent her a message on Instagram and I said, and I was reading it to the group that day, I said, we must be meant for something way bigger than a podcast, because it's just not happening. Wow. And at that moment, and this is the practical tool of what happens when it's not working,
Mm-hmm.
and you've tried and you have this outcome, right? The transformation that you seek is in that moment where you can turn and say, wait a minute, let's move away from this, because this outcome's not happening. What's my why? And that's when you get to the feeling part.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
What am I trying to feel from this? What am I trying to experience out of this?
Yeah.
What is this all for? Why do I want Kathy on my show?
Huh.
And it was the big why, which is, I'm here to be a light. I'm here to share. I'm here to make an impact, right? And so because I knew my why, I said, all right, then God must have some other how.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned really to the surrender mode of, this is my why. And the feeling was the impact. The feeling was making people feel the best version of themselves, being able to be a vessel to do that.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Like, let's dive into that.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so I did the inner work. That's the inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And now looking back, 3 years later, the answer was, Rona, you weren't supposed to be on a podcast with Kathy. You were supposed to speak at her retreat.
Which just happened.
You told me that 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you and said, this is my mentor. This is my guru. This is like, my Oprah.
Right.
So what the practical tool in that is really go back to the why and really allow that feeling to be your focus. I want to make an impact. And when I sat there speaking 2 days ago and looking around the room and seeing people crying and journaling and really being able to penetrate the souls, I said, that's what the feeling was. And
wow,
the universe, God, which I believe in God,
yes,
some people like to call the universe,
sure,
said to me, if that is your why, let me give it to you in such a bigger way than you could have imagined.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing a couple of things in there. One is real deep spaciousness. Like we're going at something. And testament to you, you kept going. 1 cancellation, 2 cancellation, 3 you're still going. Oh, he's still going. That's amazing. And I know people listening to this podcast, many of them the same. We will keep being resilient. Yeah. You know, did you ever hear of Monty Python in the UK? Have you ever watched Monty Python films? There's a line in one of those. I think it's, involving one of those strange, I think it's the Knights of the Round Table with the coconut horse, And he comes to us.
I'm going to make this happen for the life of the day.
Exactly. And they come to a part in the forest, and there's the Black Knight, I think, or the Dark Knight is, you can't pass. And I think it's King Arthur and his coconut horse, it's like, step out of the way, I'm King Arthur kind of thing. Yeah. And
it's almost like we thrive off that. We're like, I can't. Let me show you.
I can't. Let me show you. So there's that. That was the first thing. And then the second thing is, it's Monty Python. So, he ends up chopping off his legs or something. And the Dark Knight is still like, come back and fight, come back and fight. He's like, you've only got 1 leg, man. And he says, it is a mere flesh wound. And I think that's who I've tended to work with. And us both sitting here in these chairs, we don't let things stop us. So there you go, 4th no from Kathy Heller. And you're like, okay, something else is going on here. So you actually DM her. You still don't give up, which is really, really powerful. And then hearing you speak about dropping into the why. I hear real spaciousness there.
Yeah.
Rona, like, let me let go of this push and this, it's got to be a certain way, and tap back into why.
Yeah. What do I
Why
want it?
am I? Yeah. What do I really want this?
And that question leads you to the inner work you need to do to create the vessel, the space for what you are actually meant to receive.
Yes.
So the past 3 years, the amount of inner work I've done, the person I am today versus 3 years ago, the container I have to hold this space is so much more vast. And that's why I was at a retreat and not doing a podcast with her, because I did the work.
Amazing. Can we talk about
I'd love to.
some of that as well? Because something else you shared from stage this past 2 days ago was the door is always there. Now, it sometimes isn't disguised like a nice door that you go, oh, let me just go through that door. You just talked about doing a lot of deep inner work over the last 3 years. And I think you also talked about being a light and that being your why. And I absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt, there are many, many people, some of whom are listening to this right now, who will relate to that too. This being a light in a world that often is filled with far from light, quite frankly. And my own experience speaking to other people, working with clients, being in rooms like at Kathy Heller's event the other day, many of us, I think, have experienced what I would describe as, and I think you and Kathy also used this word, initiation. The last 3 years have not been easy. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk, if you're open to it, a little bit about what that means. The door is always there, but it doesn't always look like a door you particularly want to go through, does it?
No, and, I refer to this, I'm Jewish, background's Jewish, family in Israel. Everyone knows what's been going on since October 7th and the war that has unfolded, unfortunately, ever since. And one of the things that has really inspired me in the past year and a half has been seeing the power that unfolds in pain.
Wow.
And one of the reasons I started the nonprofit that I shared with you, Mental Health is Real, is that I realize in working with communities of trauma around the world that have been affected by October 7th, is that when we lean into that door that seems like it's closed, the place of our greatest pain, right? And you talk to people who have been devastated.
Sure.
And you provide not just the space for them to feel it, but empower them to understand that where lies their greatest pain is the same place that houses their greatest power.
Wow.
And when people start tapping into that, and not the victim side, but more this was designed for me. This was handcrafted so that I can do something in this space that can change the world, that can bring the light. And so all of a sudden a door that seemed shut in your face, slammed in your face, now becomes an avenue through which you may be able to make the greatest impact in this universe.
Wow. Okay, so there's a few things in there to pick up on. First of all, mental health is real. And just right now, you have a website for that.
mentalhealthisreal.co.
mentalhealthisreal.co. And just going very practical for a minute, just let people know what that is.
Yeah, it's a resource for anyone in trauma. We created a virtual support system where therapists and healers around the globe offer their services free.
Wow.
And people, it started first in Israel. We wanted to help people because the burnout was so severe with therapists. There were just not enough to handle. And you have a whole country experiencing trauma. It's not like a particular population.
No.
It was an ongoing trauma and it's continuous.
Sure.
So what I did through this nonprofit is we led a tour around the world, which we still are doing. I just got back from Mexico City, where we recruit therapists, we recruit practitioners, and we also bring the platform to offer it to the community. And so it's really for anyone going through, whether it's trauma related to October 7th or something triggered from that sexual violence, domestic violence. I mean, it's across the spectrum. College students who are struggling with anti-Semitism. I mean, it's really a platform now that people get one-on-one treatment by therapists and practitioners around the world.
That's incredible.
It's pretty neat, and it's not limited to the Jewish community. Thankfully, one of the things I wanted to emphasize was that we're not just here for ourselves.
Sure.
That we've been given a mandate that we are here to be a light onto the nation, and I take that very seriously. And so it's offered to our allies, and so we have people who are of other religious affiliations who are our volunteers who offer their services and who use the platform. So to me, having access to health, to well-being is critical to everything.
Absolutely. And so if somebody listening right now is a therapist,
or the website,
can they if they're interested to connect,
please go to the website. There's a tab that says volunteer.
Beautiful.
We are more than happy to welcome you on the platform. Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
Thank you.
And you're actually hosting events as well.
Yeah.
I know with the recent things, we're sitting here right now in LA together. We all know what happened earlier this year in LA.
The fires, absolutely. It was a moment of, decision making on my end as the founder was, are we spreading ourselves too thin? Should we just focus on Israel? And I said again, we as the Jewish people have been given a mandate by God that you are here to be light.
Wow.
So look, if anyone unfortunately knows trauma, the Jewish community knows trauma for generations.
Yeah.
And so it is up to us to say, we have learned, we have grown, we have understood how to handle this. Let us share our best practices with you. And so that's how I've seen this organization really evolve, is how can we be there for the broader community? So when LA, the fires broke out, we were on the ground on the evacuation sites, offering our trauma specialists, and we have ongoing events. So on April 29th, we're doing a collaboration with Dr. Jen Mann, Samantha Edis, some prominent figures in the community, and myself, and doing a conversation on healing and how do we really rebuild after losing so much. So, we have continuous events going on to really bring the tools. May 8th, we're doing a collaboration with the Museum of Tolerance, which is our Holocaust museum, and talking about how trauma has affected over generations, and made its impact here in LA. So continuously having the conversation, because it's something that we're still working on, overcoming a lot of stereotypes about what access to healthcare and mental health care looks like. And my goal is to make it something that people feel they can get the help without feeling ashamed.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's so needed.
Thank you.
It's so needed. And I would love to ask you, I'm going to ask you, because there were so many threads and themes in there, resilience and faith. How do you, and we just, touched the very surface of the history and atrocities. And there are too many to even, they need to be talked about.
Right.
And how do you keep finding resilience to be a light in a world where the doors are slammed shut, where there is no throughway, there is often on the surface no visible, okay. How do you
funny.
do that?
You mentioned this. I just gave a talk last night about this concept to the Jewish community. We have Passover coming up next week. It's the story of redemption of exile, right? And one of the first places we've seen biblically of manifestation is in the Torah, which is our sacred Jewish text, and it's the women of Egypt, the Jewish women who, when Moses came and said, after the 10 plagues, all right, we're actually going to go now. We get to go. And the women are like, and Moses says, take what you can, we got to leave. And you think about, evacuation here, the fires, what people are grabbing, which bag, which purse, which, passports, whatnot. What would you take? The women took drums. And it's said because of the faith of the Jewish women, God saved the Jewish people. Because in the moment where they could have given up, right, we women are really at the forefront of how our families, our homes will navigate life. We're that backbone on a very spiritual, emotional, mental capacity where we can really charter the way. And the women grab the drums. And when I learned that story, that was the beginning of my manifestation journey. And I said, those are my ancestors. They didn't think, I don't see it though. I don't see a sea parting. I don't see, what are you talking about, Mo? They said, we're going to lean into a knowing.
Wow.
We're leaning into knowing that we are saved, that God's with us. And I don't need to see it. I believe it. I know it. And I grab my drum and we're going to celebrate. And that's where I get my strength, is knowing that's where I come from. When we start asking, but I don't, where? I have to show me. Then there's no faith. And you look at the miracle that is the Jewish people, honestly, like, generation after generation tried to wipe us out. This one, that, dynasty. Endless. How on earth are we still here? Right?
It's like, pretty remarkable, isn't it?
It is really remarkable.
Really.
And it goes back to what I believe is the absolute eternal promise from God, that we just have to own it and know we're here for a purpose. And even the pain and even the hardship, hold that drum, lean into this inner knowing that we're going to be okay.
Your podcast is called The Divine Download. What does that mean? And how do you keep listening to the whisper of the divine? Or maybe it's not always a whisper. Maybe the download is stronger.
If you don't listen to the whispers, it becomes a scream. That's the truth.
So, talk a little bit about the divine download and what that's about, and again bringing it to the really practical, how to keep listening in.
I'll tell you, the divine download is the concept of really tapping into what we're here for. Right? I come from the world of Wall Street, believe it or not. I have my MBA, I graduated business school, I was at Goldman Sachs, managing the wealth of some of the most prominent individuals in this country.
Wow.
And they were miserable. Really? Were unhappy.
Wow.
And when they would sit with me, because of my energy, because of my learning, because of the work I've done since I popped out of the womb, they said, all right, let's forget the portfolio. I got it. You managed it. It's good. I'm making money. I'm losing money. Whatever. Tell me about my mindset. How do I find joy?
They would ask you that.
They would ask me that. I said, my gosh, they missed the divine download of what this is all for. Wow. All the money in the world, but you're unhappy. So we would sit and have conversations about purpose. What is this all for? And so when I had that experience, I realized this is not something that comes to people second nature. This is something that needs to be discussed and worked on. And so for me, the divine download is really understanding, why are you here? What are the gifts you've been given? The challenges you've been given? And how does the life experience you have made custom for you, how does that tie into what you're here to fulfill? What purpose you, and unique to you, right? You are here to fulfill. And when people tap into that, they want nothing other than that. Because you just wake up with a different skip in your step, and you go to bed with an eagerness for the next day. Because it's beyond you. You tap into something way greater. And I see it with kids, how they seek this. They want to know. It's not just what I see, right? Like, there's more to the story. And for my own kids, I have 3 kids. When they reach points where there's no answer, and we pull the God card, which is really always the first, should be your first response, but sometimes it has to be the last. The conversation's over. It's like, because God planned it that way, right? God put you in this position for it. And the struggles become so much more manageable. So again, the divine download is, what is the message here for me? And living in alignment with, there's more than meets the eye. And tapping into that. And so practical level, that has changed my life and the clients that I work with, is the routine, the morning routine. It's like, how are you creating the space for that conversation with the divine, with your soul, with something way deeper, so that throughout your day, when you're navigating, and the other voice comes in and all the static, right? That morning amplified the only voice that should be directing you.
Yes. Are you open to sharing a little bit more for you,
Absolutely.
Rona? What does that look like, that
My morning
connection? Because we all wake up and get up at what does that literally look like?
Definitely every morning, 6 a.m. My husband hates it, but he's like, again? I said, honey, this has been like 4 years now. Yes, 6 a.m. I get up, I take the dog out, I have my drink that I make every morning, which is apple cider vinegar, lemon, water. Take it outside with me, let the dog out. I do a 15-minute breathing exercise. And it's just, there's nothing on my mind. I'm at a place where I've graduated through some of the visual meditation, but I started with visual meditation because it's very hard to just sit there quietly for 15 minutes.
Sure, that's true.
So for a beginner level, I would say find a meditation that, and the word meditation scares people so much. Like, what, I have to go sit on the rooftop somewhere and, kumbaya. No, you don't.
I know for those not watching on video and listening on audio, you just did a kind of, I don't know, like a guru yoga pose with your hands.
I mean, that's what people...
I had a vision of a robe, like...
That's what you think when you think meditation. Like, I have to go sit on the Himalayas somewhere and really just,
drop into that. Yeah.
Meditation just means pause that busy mind of yours. Listen to this inner voice that's begging for your attention all day. It's like, please, 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 please. They just want to say one thing. Like the little kid that's like, you're like 5. I don't know if you with your kids, but I have my 10-year-old is my baby now, but she's not really a baby, but she's still my baby. But she's the one that's like, wait, just one more thing. I have one more thing to tell you. That is our soul. Our soul is like, I just want you to know one thing, and we're like, I'm too busy. I gotta check my email. I gotta check my Facebook. How many likes do I have? It is your time to let your inner knowing just take the wheel for a minute. Yeah. So the meditation is, a 10 to 15 minute, just allow something within you to just steer. And for me at this point, I just sit quietly and I ask God to let me surrender into his palm. And I allow myself to align with my soul. And I say, you let me know what I need to know. Who do I need to know? What do I need to do? Where do I need to be? Just let that inner being, my soul, flow into my consciousness. Because there's such a bridge that we're trying to, bridge this gap between our consciousness and our inner being. And so it's those moments where you really put the bricks up for that bridge, where you're like, tell me, bring to my awareness here. Because we know, our soul deep inside knows. It's just that bridge we're trying to connect. So that's really what the practice is. And then after that, I really go into an office hour with God. I have my space in the yard. It's all outdoors, and I'm barefoot, and I just stand there, and there's a specific corner in my yard, and I'm just like, good morning, God. And I just start with this rampage of gratitude. Gratitude.
And are you thinking, I'm getting really practical here. Are you saying things out loud? Are you thinking it in your mind?
No, we're having a full-on combo. Wow. Yeah, you have to make God so accessible. You think he's like, oh, God. Yeah, I am like, God, what's up? Good morning.
I love this. Thank you so much for showing us that.
What a cool, I'm like, how neat. I got to speak at an event last night. That was so fun. Thank you. Wow. Thank you that I have a husband who wants to wake up to me. Thanks that I get to go wake up my kids right now.
Oh my God.
Thanks that I have this great bed I got to sleep in. Thanks that I just got to make this hot drink. Thanks, like, just thank you.
Wow.
And it's how I'm them building. Yeah, you're just like, thanks. And my neighbors are probably like, quiet down there at 6:30,
I was going to say, if anyone's listening going, oh, wow, I did that on my balcony of my apartment or whatever it is.
Hilarious.
I love that. You're there.
Yeah, I'm just there. And he's there. And we're just having a meeting of the minds. And after the gratitude, I go into all the things that I'm manifesting in real time. And I'm thanking him for it all. Thank you that this incredible opportunity today is going so well. Thank you that the wealth that I seek is seeking me back. Thank you that the love I desire is loving me back.
Okay.
And my prayer is a very positive prayer where I already trust it's here.
That's beautiful. So you're standing in that it's already here.
Already here.
It's all already here.
Thinking, because I have just such a trust. I know it is.
Wow.
And I have it. That's
and
it.
Then also linking back to what we were speaking about earlier, that openness.
Yeah.
Like I'm I'm not, maybe there are some things in here. You're not like, it doesn't sound like you're saying, thank you for the specific, I don't know, I've got a silly example, like red lipstick that I attracted in.
No.
Whatever it is, that's a
feeling.
ridiculous example, but it's a feeling. So
thank you for allowing me to feel the abundance. Thank you for allowing me to feel the impact. Thank you for allowing me to touch this part in my soul that lifts me up, that, that puts me on, that elevates me, that sparks my soul.
wow, this is so powerful, Rona. Thank you so much for sharing this with such depth.
Thank you for being able to receive it.
It's an honor and a pleasure, deeply, like really, from my heart to your heart. And I
start jumping together.
It feels like that. And often sitting here having conversations on this show, I also really tap into and feel people listening. I mean, really, in real time, people listening to this conversation.
Yeah.
And that moment before the camera started rolling and we were sitting here and, we shared a moment together, and then in closing my eyes, I'm feeling into who's listening to this right now. And I love, there's a real lightness and playfulness. And you're like, no, I have a real conversation with God. Like, whatever the neighbors are thinking, I'm actually speaking out loud. So I'm going to ask about your office hour with God. So there we are, gratitude, tapping into the feeling, really the feeling, and back to what you were sharing earlier in this conversation of the feeling, not the specifics, what I feel. And so now with the office hour with God, so gratitude for the manifestation, the things that are already here, that you're in the middle of creating. And then what next? What happens next in the office hour?
I mean, look, there are times we have real hardships, right? And it's very hard to get to that place. So we're allowing the human experience. I never want anyone to say like, well, if I can't get there, then it's not for me. There are struggles. There are moments that it seems too far out of reach. And so I'll ask for help. Say, I'm certain you're going to get me through this. I need a little more today.
Yeah.
And so after the gratitude, after the high vibes, after, all that, I allow myself to say, you know what? Here's an area that could really use a little boost. I always say, I am certain this is for my highest good.
Huh.
Right?
Do you always believe that?
That with every ounce of my being. Everything is hand designed for our highest good. And one of the things that women have the hardest time with is that they feel that they're being punished by God. And I don't see it in men as much, but I see women there like, this happened to me because God got upset that I didn't do this, or this is my karma because and I was like, what if it's really just for your highest good that you need to pivot from this right now?
Wow.
And it is such a shift that people make where it's like, if you can accept this as a fundamental truth, this is for your highest good.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to say it still sucks.
That
still hurts.
That
help me to get to a place where it feels good.
Yes. And there was something you said, I just was looking at my notes there because there was something you said the other day, and I may or may not see it right here. Oh, yes, here it is. Totally ties into this. So we've got gratitude, feeling into what's manifesting, what's creating, and really tapping into that feeling of that. And then what I'm hearing now is the noticing of, and this thing isn't maybe going the way it's feeling hard, help, and actually asking for help. And then you said the other day, you spoke about full radical acceptance of the moment as a pathway to wholeness. And I'm hearing that in what you're sharing right now. Can you speak more to that? So
it's that certainty that this is for my highest good. It's an acceptance, because until we accept it, we're fighting. We are fighting ourselves all day, and we're drained. When we wonder why we're drained, when we get the end of the night, we're just like, I have nothing left inside me, because we're fighting ourselves all day. Like, no, I can't feel this. I shouldn't feel this. I can't. I'm hurt. If you could accept that this was hand designed for you, the struggle with your mom, the hardship with your husband, the bills that you're giving, that are a little bit harder to pay this month. If you can really sit in the acceptance and say, I am certain God is infinite, right? God just wants to give the abundance. We are here to experience the abundance of God, the oneness with God. We are one with God. He created us. I make you in my image. We are one. Me and you, let's go. Right? So you're telling me this oneness, this infinite being wants to just teach you a lesson. He's just here to like give you a hard day today. He wants us to see a path to something greater. And we're the ones that attach this definition to these things. We're like, this must mean this. We label so much. We're just labeling. This means that. That means that. My son didn't get into this school. That means this. I'm a bad mother. I'm a bad this. I don't know. If we could drop the labels and stop playing God and saying, oh, well, I'm going to tell you what this means. No, you're not going to tell me. Unless you're God, don't tell me what this means.
And sometimes it's halfway through the story.
Halfway.
And if we look at any movie or any children's books even, like halfway through the story often does not look like how it ends up.
At all.
At all.
At all. And giving yourself the grace to say, and it's liberating.
Yeah.
You really can just take a deep breath and you're like, okay, this is part of a master plan that I am accepting. And the more you can accept, the more you create the space, right? It's like what we talked at the beginning. Create the space for something. Oh, yeah. Okay. But until you can accept it, you're going to keep fighting. And fighting is hard.
It really is, isn't it? There's a wonderful quote I read just 2 or 3 weeks ago now, the author Byron Katie. And she says, when you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. It's like, I think, I'm not sure now if the word right is the right word in that. It's a great quote. I'll have to put it below this episode, but it's like, it's like you can argue and argue, you can be right, but it's tough. You're never going to win.
Yeah.
But 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You will keep battling.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Draining.
Totally draining. And you're right about the exhaustion.
Yeah.
And we collapse into bed at the end of the day. And
what just happened? And you're like, it's those, I feel like I've ran a marathon. I have nothing to show for it.
Yes.
The one thing I teach my clients is really be graceful with yourself. Right? Like even the negativity that comes in, if we can really dance with it, then we can understand that there is a reason for it. It's meant to empower you. It's meant to shift you. It's meant to give you some clarity. Even the contrast is clarity.
Yeah.
Right? Think about when you know what you want in life is when you're pushed against the wall by everything you don't want. Right? When you want the most health is when you're facing a health crisis. When you want the most wealth is when you have zero. When you want the most love is when someone just walked out on you. Use the contrast as clarity. Everything can work for you. Everything can work for you. It's your mindset.
Is there a question? I'm putting you on the spot here. You don't have to obviously come up with an answer at all, but is there a question? If somebody is really facing, let's say somebody listening or people listening right now, really, and maybe they're in their garden and maybe they're having an office hour with God.
One-on-one.
Now, right?
Yeah.
And it's really this, I am really struggling with this. I cannot see a way through this. This is too much. It's too hard. It's too full on. Is there a question they can ask themselves? They can ask God, like, show me. That's like an in. Just a little something that can begin to turn that around.
I say, show me why this was hand designed for me.
Oh, that's a powerful question. Show me how this was how and why this was hand designed.
Let me understand.
Wow.
And there's an acceptance again. It's the first step is accepting that it is.
Yeah.
Because then you'll look for the answer to that question, right?
Yeah.
What we look for, we find.
Yes.
So if you could first, the hard part is saying, okay, God, I'm certain it is. Like that's fundamental. Today, I'm going to look for why and how. Give me a little sneak peek. I promise you, you will find an answer to it. Because you're going to start looking, right? If I say count all the red cars, you're going to see 300 red cars right now.
That's true.
You will find what you look for. Same with spirituality.
You will find what you look for.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
That in itself. And when our attention is tuned one way and we're just looking at the negativity, the things that are going wrong. I'm not hearing you say in your office hour, and then I do a whole litany of complaints. I'm guessing that's not part of it.
I'm sure there.
I mean, I'm sure we could find lots if we really looked for those, but no. So gratitude, real feeling into this is opening up, and gratitude for that, and then really asking for support.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and thank you for diving really deeply into this. It's so beautiful, and I've so got an image of you in your garden having this conversation.
Send a picture. Oh, that's glamorous. I'll tell you.
To see that, it doesn't matter. It's great. So then, how does the office hour? What happens next, and how does it close?
It's a thank you. It's a certainty. I'm sure you've got my back. I'm excited for you to show me all the ways you've got my back. I'm excited. I'm like, show me, God. Show me what you got.
Oh my gosh. And
you know what I mean?
Step into your day.
And that's it. And then I go into the house and my kids are like, everyone's fighting. And I'm like, I just had the most like amazing spiritual awakening. What's going on? But that's also important to know is that you have moments of high vibe. Don't allow yourself to get down when that doesn't necessarily pour through into everything you do. And I remember when I first got into this practice, I would have the most incredible aha moments, and I would walk into my house and my kids would have the biggest meltdown of their lives. And I'm like, did I do this wrong? Like, isn't everything supposed to just flow after that? It comes in little waves. Treasure them when they're there. Create the space, carve the space, but also understand there's a human experience. And your kids are going to fight, and they're going to pull each other's hair, and they're going to steal each other's sweaters, and
and this is not karma, and that you just did that wrong in some way.
Right. You have your container of when that happens, and allow the human experience. But I will tell you, your ability to handle life in those moments is way calmer.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Will you speak to that for?
I mean, like my kids will see in the mornings. Even though they'll kill each other, we're at a hard stage, 14, 12, and 10.
14, 12, and 10, okay.
Of teenage life, still trying to maintain her. I mean, we're all in it. We're all in. And, we have our moments, but one of the things I notice when I have those mornings and I'm able to come inside and I'll turn music on, I'll think about things that will create a more harmonious state. I'm not going to prevent it. I can't control it. And I'll let them kind of be. We're trying to overcompensate a lot when we're dysregulated. We'll try to overcontrol everyone around us, right?
Isn't that the
truth? We can't control ourselves. Yes. So when you have that inner peace, you kind of let people around you figure it out for themselves, which our kids really want, actually.
Oh my gosh, I can feel, again, there's that word. For me inside, it's spaciousness. Allowing them to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah,
that's so powerful. There was a lady yesterday at the same event you spoke at, and I remember she stood up after an exercise we'd all done, and she literally stood there, and she has a 17-year-old. And she shared so powerfully that she had realised in that moment, we had to write a letter to ourselves from our own, our own child, as it were. She realised how much control, exactly like you're saying, she had been putting on that 17-year-old. And of course, there was resistance. I mean,
of course they feel it.
You're a mom. It's like that happens. It's just going to come back. It doesn't.
True.
And it was so beautiful witnessing her A, realization of that, and B, that she really realized in that moment, I can't control that actually.
Yeah, and then you give them freedom.
Oh, so powerful. There are so many places we could go and have conversations. I know we don't have time for that.
I love it.
Rona, thank you. You're welcome back anytime on this show. There are so many things we really could dive into. If people would love to get hold of you, we talked about mentalhealthisreal.co. And there are ways to donate to that. I know there are ways therapists to get in touch and obviously read about the work and the events that you're doing. How else can people connect with you, Rona?
Yeah, so I coach one-on-one. I still have the space for that because that's what I love doing the most. Beautiful. So people can absolutely reach out either on Instagram, Mindset Reset Rona. You can find me, Rona Lalezary. I have a website, ronalalezary.com.
Great.
My podcast, The Divine Download with Rona, is a great way to just plug into all.
Highly recommend that.
Thank you.
We only met less than 48 hours ago, and I haven't listened to a full episode, but I've dived into the beginning of a few. Well, this is
important. I appreciate it.
Important. And
It's important to
we're
me.
going to drop all the links, and obviously it'll be in the email. But let's just spell your name out loud in case people are sitting there with a pen and paper.
Rona, R-O-N-A. The last one is the tongue twister. Lalezary. It's Lalezary.
Beautiful. And that's on Instagram again.
Yep.
Mindset Reset.
Yep. With Rona.
Mindset Reset with Rona. And we'll put those links obviously below.
I love people to connect. This is what I enjoy doing the most, is really just allowing people the space to find this within them. It's everything.
It is everything. The world is not teaching us this, Rona. And the work you do is so deeply needed and so deeply resonant.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anybody particularly that you one-to-one that you love to work with? As in oh my gosh, I'm so glad this person found me.
Yeah.
Who's that person?
It's interesting. I mean, I've reached that now with Kathy, which is wild. So like, the goalpost moves when you have moments like that. I would say like the Mel Robbins of the world, right? Gabby Bernstein, Mel Robbins, they're on my vision board.
Wonderful.
Oprah's on my vision board. Kathy was on my vision board. So I guess, I'm getting close.
You are getting close. It's coming.
It's these people that you are so relatable yet so expansive. And they gave me permission to really understand that this is a path that, someone like me is, when you feel the calling and you can see someone doing it, it helps you find your way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, your work is certainly doing that in the world, Rona. And we're going to end this conversation, part 1. If there's a part 2, let's see.
Amen.
I like to say ...
Yes,
Amen.
yes.
Great. Let's do it. But this is a question I ask every single guest who comes on the show. And I've got a feeling you're going to really like this question. I think more than anybody I've actually ever asked this question to, because you've kind of referred to it a little bit already. And I know you did your office hour this morning with God, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a little, in England we say 11sies. I don't know, do you say 11sies? And it's not 11 yet. I know you need to head out of 11. But 11sies is like where you have a cup of coffee at 11 a.m. It's kind of that time where you just need a little break. And
I love it.
you've had your office hour in the morning with God, and maybe we're going to have a little 11sies now. I don't know.
I love that.
I think Pooh Bear was a fan of 11sies. He'd eat honey, right?
We should all do the 11sies. I'm ready for it.
Definitely. So I'm going to ask you this question. It's a ritual question. I ask it to everybody. And feel free, if you want me to repeat it, I'm open to doing that. Some people listen with their eyes closed and some with their eyes open. Completely up to you. So.
Big fan of closing my eyes. So
go for it. So Rona, when everything else falls away, expectations, fear, resistance, what does your soul whisper is next?
Wow. My soul always whispers to me. Always whispers. Get on the biggest stages, the highest rooftops, and amplify this message to millions. They need you. They're waiting for you. That's really what my soul tells me all the time.
Amen to that. Thank you.
Thank you. What a beautiful question.
It is when that noise falls away, isn't it? And you said it so often during this conversation, and I love that. The soul is always whispering to us.
Always.
Always.
And it's just, and when you start listening to it and you feel the way that it guides you, you're like, I want nothing else. If it doesn't feel like this, I don't want it.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so
it's my
much
pleasure.
for being here.
Oh, what thoughtful questions. Really. This was such a holy, sacred space you created, really.
Thank you so much. I received
I
that
enjoyed this
deeply. I enjoyed it too. I look forward to the next time.
Me too.
Who knows where we'll be meeting next?
Who knows? Maybe it'll be in Hawaii.
Oh my gosh. You are welcome to come to Hawaii anytime. Yes, please. And I really did get shivers when you shared what your soul whispers is next. I really hear the truth in that. I feel it.
I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not afraid. That's the crazy thing, where it's like, and it took a while to get here.
Yeah.
You know, I was a people pleaser my whole life. I was always like, am I too much? Is that too much? Should I? And there's this part of me that's just like, shed that. And I want people to feel this. I want people to, I always say, don't look at me. You know, I get a lot of like, Rona, you're amazing. I'm like, don't look at me. I want you to see yourself through me. I want to be a mirror for you of all you can do, of all you're capable of. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Amen to that too. Thanks for tuning in. I am so grateful we got to spend this time together. To instantly know about new episodes dropping, be sure to subscribe to The Kate Kenny Show #Unfiltered on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And if you enjoyed this episode, do please leave a review, especially if you listen on Apple Podcasts. This will help more people access what's shared here. If you really loved this episode, take a screenshot on your phone and share it on social media. Tag me at @TheKateKenny and I'll be sure to reshare your post. Remember, when you dare to go unfiltered, everything changes. Thanks again for listening. Keep shining that bright light of yours into the world, and I'll see you next time.